Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome today. I'm glad to be with you and glad to be joined by Sean Herrera. He is the Director of Corporate Relations for Pepperdine Graziadio Business School and also a faculty member and teaches our MBA students. And we're glad to be with you and share with you and give you a glimpse into what it's like to be able to take a course at Pepperdine. So, Sean, would you be glad to share with us more?
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Maria. So there's actually a workshop series we're going to do. And whenever I speak to people at companies about the classes I teach with the MBA students, they always say, wow, I wish I could be in your class. Okay, well, now you can. We're going to set this up, or I'll show you here in a second. Let me share my screen. Click on this button here. So if you can see now the screen, this is the 4 workshops that we're going to do. Each one's a different series, and these are case studies I do with my MBA students that they seem to really enjoy. So we have a decision case, the first 2 at the top, where you get information, have to make a decision in the group afterwards what you want to do leadership-wise, and the bottom 2 are analysis cases where you're saying what makes these coaches great leaders. Because how my class is set up, it's called Leadership and Organizational Success, and how it's set up is all the lessons are done through sports coaches. So instead of maybe boring, typical leadership books, you're actually learning what's successful in a sports environment, which the students seem to really get into. So how this works is we have 4 series here. The first one's to race or not to race. The second one's going to be Coach Tara McKeever. She's an Olympic swim coach and also UC Berkeley's head swim coach. She was the first female swim coach, male or female, for a U.S. Olympic team. So a very groundbreaking coach. And Sir Alex Ferguson's from Manchester United. All the Man United fans, oh, we're going to have fun doing that case. And we're going to finish up the 4th one with the U.S. Army West Point crew team. And that's a fascinating case where the JV and varsity team, based on their leadership, the JV team was actually beating the varsity team. And in the case, you got to figure out why. So how this works is these leadership workshops are not webinars. It's not going to be where you sit there and listen for an hour while you check your email. These are actually engaging exercises where you're going to be broken off into small groups of other RCCB employees. We're going to start with the main group, and then we're going to go to breakout groups where you and your small team work through the case. It's going to be delivered via Microsoft Teams. And how it's going to work is the very first workshop, that's our race car one. There's no pre-reading, nothing to do ahead of time. Right when we start, you'll be given them information, and you and your group will be working through the knowledge and coming to a decision as you go through. So it's a pretty cool case. We'll talk about that in a second. And the second, third, and fourth case workshops, those have just an hour of pre-reading. So you'll get the case ahead of time the week before, spend about an hour to read through it, gather your thoughts, and you'll be ready for the workshop that coming week. So to go through them very quickly, the first case is the race or not to race, and that's the decision making under extreme pressure. So it's a really cool case where this race car team, it could be the Coke team versus the Pepsi team, whatever we want to do. So the race car team, how it works is they've been having success, some failure, but some engine failures, and they can't figure out why. And so they're coming to the big race, and they have to decide, do we race or do we not race? If we do race and we win, we could have these massive sponsorships, all the success. But if we race and the engine goes out, well, we can have failures, lose a sponsorship. There's only an hour to decide. So what do you do? So back and forth information. It's all about making decisions under time pressure. What do you do? The students really seem to love that case. The second one is going to be Coach Tara McKeever, which I said was a U.S. swim coach. She's at Berkeley. And her main thing is talking about growth mindset and high performance teams. And here's a quote from her where she says, "It's my job to create an environment where athletes feel comfortable, supported, listened to, and get what they need to be at their best." Is that not what a business leader should do? That's the essence right there. So the great thing on these cases is you get to take a real easy to understand topic, sports, and learn what works with people when you lead them. So that's case number 2. Case 3 is Sir Alex Ferguson, British football's most successful manager. And it's funny when I have students come in from non-US, where they're from Europe or Asia, whatever else, and you say soccer, they look and say, it's not called soccer, it's called football. I know, American football, British football. So Sir Alex Ferguson he was at Man United for 26 seasons. Most coaches or managers for football last 1 season, 2, 3 seasons. He lasted 26, known as the most successful one of all time. And his quote is, "For a player, and any human being, there is nothing better than hearing 'well done.' Those are the best 2 words ever invented in sports." And that's really true when you're leading people and motivating those in your team. They just want to know they're doing things right. And when they hear that "well done," they'll work for that. They say people will work for a paycheck, but they'll die for recognition. That's something to consider when you're a leader. People want to be recognized and knowing they're doing things right. And that's something he really focuses on. So in this case, you get to study all his career and what techniques he used in talent management, motivation, long-term planning, and how that he was so successful with what he did in leading those teams. We finish up the series here with case number 4, and this one's the U.S. Army crew team, and that one's the power of teamwork. And you got to figure out what the case. Why does the JV team beat the varsity team about 2/3 of the time? The coach will switch the players, and JV still wins. And you can't figure out why. And there's all these things, dynamics going on that you're going to learn about during the case. Instead of just being a bunch of facts and theories on a screen, we're actually going through stories. And human beings have always throughout time learned through stories. So you get to see a real example of how this worked with synergy, team trust, inter-team rivalries, performance spirals, all within a case you can relate to. So when you leave this workshop the next week, you don't forget what the textbook said. You go, oh yeah, what that crew coach do? Oh yeah, what would Terry McKeever do? Alex Ferguson, how would he handle this? So it gives you these real tools you can use in your everyday leadership with your people. So instead of having just one style you use, you should have almost like a golf club, a golf bag full of different clubs, different styles for different situations, a different club for each thing. Because sometimes when the students first start, they say, well, what's the best style of leadership? I say, what do you mean? Well, what's the best style? I say, oh, okay, well, how about golf? What's the best golf club? Well, right. Are you on the green? Are you teeing off? It depends. Are you in the sand? It's situational. So in this leadership workshop series, you're going to have 4 different coaches you're going to learn from and be able to take that back to your day-to-day work. So in a nutshell, that's what we're looking to do with this workshop for the Reyes Coca-Cola employees, to give them some tools to go back and really relate when they're talking with their people and leading them.
Wow, that is fantastic news. I'm excited about this opportunity, and thank you so much for sharing, Sean. What else should we know about these workshops to help get started?
How it's going to work is, keep in mind, it's not going to be where you put on the webinar like we've all been doing the last 2 months. You put on the webinar and check your email. It's really engaging. So in Microsoft Teams, we're going to start the workshops together, go through the series. I'll give information just like my classes, but you're going to be broken up into teams. So there's really nowhere to hide. You're going to have 4 or 5 of your fellow employees, and you're working like that. And it's funny, when I teach these classes, I usually finish and I'm sweating, taking my jacket off. So it's really, we're doing stuff. It's no downtime. So when you're going to book out your time, don't go, oh yeah, there's that leadership workshop series and I'll schedule this. Oh no, you're going to be nonstop back and forth with your teammates trying to figure out the answers to these cases. And when you leave, it's really a dynamic situation where you leave with this knowledge that you say, wow, this is really applicable. It's not just some book I read. I can use this tomorrow with what I learned right now. So it's a very exciting opportunity for all the employees to take some knowledge and you go show Bill O'Brien what you learned. It's like you had a little mini MBA. You got to sit into 4 of my MBA classes and walk out and go, oh, that's what it's like to be a master's student? Great.
Fantastic. And is there anything I need to do to like have beforehand or pre-qualify? Is there anything that, that's required of me to do ahead of the scheduled workshop?
No, as long as we just select who would like to be in it, and that should be people who maybe have an impact on leading others or who would like to be in a position like that. It could also give them skills if they're not there yet. There's no pre-work to do. The first case is we're going to give it to them right there. The next ones they're going to get a week ahead of time because we're going to schedule this every week, I believe, a certain days each month. And so they're going to have a week in between. So there's really nothing to do ahead of time. It's just ready to come, work, learn about that, and see what it's like to be in a graduate course. But don't worry, if you don't currently have a bachelor's degree, it doesn't disqualify you. I set these things up. So actually, I've taught these same kind of lessons to even undergrads. So we can go from all levels.
Fantastic. Well, how do I get signed up? Sign me up.
That's what we got to do. So you guys will figure it out. You let me know. We'll get this started.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much. Is there any other advice that you have for us?
It's all going to be a secret till they show up. No. Just like my students, when they come in that day and experience it, it's a pretty entertaining and educational. What do they call it? Edutainment type situation. Educational and entertaining at the same time.
Fantastic. Well, I can't wait to share this with the group, and I know we're going to have a lot of people really clamoring to be part of the workshop. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.